beautiful souls. It's Jen Leah Riley. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. And today's Heart Activation Masterclass is about ridding shackles holding you back. And we're going to be going through what's a shackle versus an obligation. Let me go ahead and share my screen and get started. There we go. So, ridding the shackles that are holding you back. Shackles versus obligations. Welcome, welcome. In case you don't know already, my name is Jen Leah Riley, and I'm a sacred heart energy activator and generational health and wellness holistic teacher and healer, helping women all over the world in awakening and activating their heart energies so they can nurture a future filled with love, health, and hope through personal empowerment and healing. I am the founder of Healthful Living Today. I'm board certified and licensed by the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. I hold multiple certifications in energy healing modalities, holistic health and wellness coaching, co-author of the 101 Great Ways to Improve Your Life, along with greats such as Jack Canfield and the late Bob Proctor, which I'm sure you have heard of them. And I am also featured practitioner of the Body Code on discoverhealing.com. And this is my family there right on the bottom right. So today we are going to be covering basically the difference between a shackle and an obligation in your life. We're going to learn about how to disconnect from your shackles that is holding you back and reorganizing the obligations so that you can do more with your day and your life. And before I continue, I just want to say, this heart activation masterclass is all about awakening and shifting our heart energies, our true vibrational energies that basically is reflected in everything that materializes our reality, our life, right? So if there's any triggers along the way, I want you to get a pen and paper and note them down. Anytime, and you can do this throughout the day too, not just during the masterclass. Any triggers, any negative triggers, write them down. Write them down how you feel. Write them down what caused it. Perhaps if I mention something and that triggers a certain thing, it could be a word or an idea, or maybe as I'm talking, you're just reminded of something else. So you can actually do that throughout the day as well. We actually teach that in the program, in our coaching and healing program, to basically learn how to manage your triggers. And the reason why we want to manage our triggers is so that we can actually do something about it, right? Instead of going day to day to day, like just up and down throughout our days and not really dealing with the things that cause us to dip down. We're just going to always have what we want, right? And not really being able to manage those. And sometimes as they build up, they actually create more stresses and more anxiety, and of course, then more disease. So I want you to write them down, any negative triggers. Positive triggers are great. If it makes you feel, fired up and lit up, that's excellent. Although sometimes if you get overly positive, like overly excited, where it causes you to make some drastic, crazy, decision, that could actually work against you. So write those extreme decisions, which most of you probably won't have those issues. But if it does, definitely write them down. And basically the reason why we want to write them down is to take note of when these things happen. And when these things happen, it helps you to stop in your track and go, well, wait a minute, let me sit back a bit, look at what just happened, and then learning how to deal with it. Okay. And we definitely teach that in the program on how to deal with when you have negative triggers. And once you learn how to manage that and have a system to manage that, you become lighter and being able to deal with situations and being able to basically excel and become this goddess in your life, right? Okay, so getting right along to it, these are the things that we will cover today. Firstly, we are going to talk about what's a shackle versus an obligation, okay? And I definitely want to wake you up. I want you to activate, and I want you to take action. Okay. The main thing here is to take action. So first up is shackles. What are shackles? Shackles are things that are holding us back. So activities or events that are weighing you down. So think about what what activities or what's on your to-do list that is actually holding you back from doing other things. Okay. And that may be a lot. Like a lot of things affect other things from getting done. So look at all the events and activities that are weighing you down. And then a shackle could be past conditioning. So, we grow up in our household with our parents or with our caretakers, and whether they intentionally or not, through teaching or, just the way they live and their beliefs, um, they're giving us this past conditioning onto us. And it's time to basically look at these things and say, well, do these serve me anymore? So past conditionings which no longer serve can be a shackle to you, right? And so that's kind of like the next point here is expectations, sort of in the same way where in certain cultures, right? Cultures are great. I love cultures and traditions, but there may be certain things that just no longer make sense, right? And so in some cultures there are also expectations that are passed down. And a great example would be, for example, of parents expecting their kids to grow up and become a doctor, but they don't want to be the kid does not want to be a doctor or anything, right? It's not aligned with their heart, soul, or their, true purpose. So then they spend years and years and thousands and thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars, in education and things like that, and a lot of years becoming a doctor, and then live the rest of their lives being a doctor, and they're so miserable, they're stressed, it's causing illness within their body. It's causing love issues in the relationships and resentment with their own kids as they grow up, blah, 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 blah. You've all heard that story before. And I'm sure some of you relate to some of it yourself, these expectations. So these expectations can be, like I said, parents passing it down to their kids, like, I expect you to do this, but it's not aligned with your heart soul. Or it can be expectations that you put upon yourself, right? This belief, these ideas of what you think the expectations are of you, which in a sense is totally made up, right? But your mind sort of put two and two together and said, oh, okay, I heard this, or I saw this, or I'm told this, therefore my expectations are these, right? But they are shackled if they're not aligned with your heart soul. And then lastly, a shackle can be a need, right? The perception of what I need versus a want. So what you think you need, but what you think you need or what you think you need to do, but when you sit down and evaluate it, you find out that, wait a minute, I actually don't need this right now. It could actually wait. Or you don't need it at all. It can be eliminated altogether. And imagine this whole time you were holding on to it. And that's why it can be a shackle, right? So it's a perception of what's a need to you. And then before we move on to obligations, I just want to talk about a couple examples of shackles that I've had in my life that, I eliminated and let go, and just like, oh my gosh, so freeing. Now I can go on and do the things that I want to do. And now I'm actually manifesting, because it's like the glass full thing, you're right. If glass is like overflowing, you can't fit in anything more. So this masterclass today is all about looking at your glass, looking at your life, and seeing how much of it is overflowing and how much of the glass are shackles that you can just dump out so you can fit more in, and how much of it are obligations that you can shift around and change around a bit, right? So that your life can be flowing a little bit better. You have a clear direction, remapping your life so that you know exactly where you want to go, and where you want to go is aligned to your heart, soul, and you have the systems and the strategies in place to get there. Okay, so an example I thought about, which I wrote down here, is basically, when I wrote some of the things down, one of the things that came up was something that I, was asked to help either a friend or a spouse or even coworker to do that actually don't light me up at all. They don't light me up. They don't excite me, and they may take a lot of energy, take a lot of time, or even resources such as money. So they become a shackle. And in the first time, it might be all like, yes, I'm fine to do it. I would love to help, and you have that excitement. So that at that point, it wasn't really a shackle. But then if it gets repeated because people expect that from you now it becomes a shackle, because now you're like, well, this is taking me longer. It's taking me away from tending to other things that I want in my life, right? It's no longer served. The there's no reciprocity in what you're giving and what you're getting. So it becomes a shackle, right? And other things are, for example, your list of your goals or your to-do list that aren't in line with your ultimate goal or higher purpose, right? They just become shackles. Like, thinking about having a big house or whatever, right? You might have this big goal. And going back to, for example, the perception of needs, right? You might think, oh yeah, I need this huge mansion, and so you make all this goal, and you're aligning yourself. I need to make millions of dollars, or I need to land this job in order to get there. I need to spend all this money on an investment for this 100-room mansion, right? So you're shifting your whole entire life going down this road, but it's a very, very volatile road, and you don't really get there because it's so ridiculous. And I want you to have these dreams. Definitely, they're achievable. They're definitely achievable. But I'm just giving you a ridiculous example, right? Do you really need 100 rooms, right? What about a 10-room mansion? 10 rooms sounds a little bit more manageable, and it's still great. It would still look wonderful, whatever it is, right? So, shifting, having the 10-room mansion, you're going down a different road on this side, and it's a lot more attainable. You're not as stressed out because it's going to cost you, I don't know, $100 million cheaper because it's 10 times the price, 10 times less of the price. So you're going down different roads, and it's just, your perception of what you need, and just managing the expectations and managing whether your goal, your ultimate goal, is actually a shackle. Okay, so I still want you to have your goals, but it's just, really looking at it and thinking about, is it actually a need, or has this goal become a shackle in my life? Okay, and then just changing it up a bit, right? Not to say, oh, I'm gonna have trying to bring your goal down to having less. It's not about that. Like 100 room versus 10 rooms. 10 rooms is still great, right? And it's more than great. That's my point. It's more than great. Like, I want you to have more, right? But 100 rooms, come on. Okay, so and the main thing to remember is that your shackles are basically the things that you don't have agreement that is aligned with your soul purpose, okay? With your heart, soul, your heart energy is basically, becomes your reality of how you feel and what you're vibrating. So you want to make sure that all these things that you're doing are aligned to your heart truth. So now, obligations. What are obligations? So the obligations are what you're obliged to do, right? So it's those survival things, the upkeep, the life upkeep, the things you need to do to survive, right? So for example, self-care and maintenance, those are obligations. You need to do certain things in order to survive. For example, you need to eat, right? So you can't say, oh, I need to have breakfast, lunch today. Oh, these are shackles. They bring me down. They're holding me back. They're survivals, right? But if you say, I need to have a 4-course meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, that becomes a shackle if you have to spend all the time and money doing that and all the energy doing that, when that energy could be spent on something else better for you, right? If a 3-course meal is what you need and what you need nutritionally, mentally, emotionally, everything, then sure, of course, that's your survival. That's what you need. But if it's not, if it's just, some kind of wish that you wanted, it's no longer an obligation. It's not a survival thing. It's a shackle, right? So it's managing those things. So another, for example, of survival would be, for example, your job or career for financial stability, right? Many of us might place that in the shackle category, right? Oh, it's holding my job, it's holding me back, but we need it for survival, right? And the only way to think about that is, well, is this aligning to my heart soul? And then trying to shift that and finding your heart purpose, finding jobs, um, shifting your mentality, manifesting the job or the things that you want, the situations that you want, so that it's no longer seen as a shackle for you. Okay. And the other one is the must do's, right? So your must do's are, for example, like the eating, like I said. And if you're a mom, for example, such as myself, right, I can't not tend to my kids. I can't, just let a baby change its own diaper or whatever. Those are the must do. So those are the obligations. We need to do those things, right? So even though they can take up a lot and it's like, well, it's holding me back, it's not really holding you back. We're going to talk a little bit about how to manage these things. But, those are the must do. So must do's versus what's actually weighing you down, what's a shackle. And then basically your soul aligned goals. So, as long as your goals are aligned to your heart truth, they're no longer a shackle, right? The things that you're doing are no longer a shackle. So if you're working towards your ultimate purpose, for example, some evenings I'm actually working on more teachings, more videos, or more content for my clients, for the people in my program, or I'm helping them create other things. Those are aligned to my heart purpose, right? I love doing it. I don't see that as a shackle, even though if you look at your day and time, it may be taking up a lot of hours and time, but as long as it doesn't intrude into your own health and it's not something that you just don't enjoy or you don't get anything back, then it's not a shackle, right? It's an obligation. It's soul aligned goals that you have. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, a little bit of questions to ask yourself, okay? In everything that you do in your day, okay, look at all your tasks and all the events in your life. It's easier to break this down by looking at the events that you're dealing with right now. Maybe just thinking about today, maybe thinking about the next week or even up to the next month. Just thinking about all the things that you got going on, okay? And then ask yourself, does this align with my soul purpose? Do I feel love when I'm doing this? And does this light me up? Okay. So create your list and ask these questions. Very, very important to find out whether that you're doing things that are coming from love, okay? And some of the things you might say, well, yes, of course it's love. I want to help this person initially. But like we said before, it's that, things you're doing things that you don't love anymore and it's become a shackle to you, right? So it's being really honest about yourself and really think about it, like, do I need to do this? Is this really going to help me with my ultimate goal? And of course it's always helpful to find out your ultimate purpose. If you join my program, that's what we try to ignite your soul fire so you can have that in front of you and be able to easily evaluate, whether things are aligned to your heart soul. So think about those questions. And then next we're going to talk about how to disconnect from all your shackles, right? Getting rid of it, cut them off. right? The first step is to basically pause. Okay, pause your entire life and remap your life. Okay, we have a module also that talks about remapping your life, and it's really important because it's all about stopping in our tracks now instead of going through our usual up and downs every day. And even within our day, this one day, you go through ups and downs, right? That's why in the beginning I mentioned I wanted you to write down your triggers, because that's going to help you to understand emotionally what what you're not in agreement to, and what you're um, sort of more drawn and more happily moving towards, right? So step number one is to pause and remap your life. You are going to basically reevaluate or evaluate everything you do in your day or schedule. As I mentioned before, take a day or take the next week or the month, just thinking about a lot of the things. And one way to do that is to think about, it's always easiest to think of the negative things, right? So think about things that you just don't enjoy. Okay, that could be cleaning, cooking, whatever it is, write everything down. And then step number two is to organize those by shackles versus obligations. Okay, so go back and watch this, go back and look at what the shackles were and what the obligations were, and organize it and separate the list out. And then, so you're going to prioritize this list from the above. Okay, prioritize the list from step one and looking at that. And then step number three, you're going to sort them out. But step number three is basically to set your boundaries. Okay, eliminate the items, right? Eliminate the items that truly do not need to be in your life now by saying no. Okay, very hard for some of us to do. I had to learn it my way. Took me a while to learn how to say no. Okay, but you're going to set the boundaries and eliminate by saying no. And that's pretty much it. Sounds pretty, it's simple, right? It's very simple, but it can be very hard to do, right? It's that taking action, it's that saying no, that's the hardest part. But that's how you're really only way you're really going to get rid of the shackles is by saying no. Okay, so you've paused, you've evaluated everything that you do, you've thought about the things that don't work for you, you prioritize them, you prioritize and look at it by shackles versus obligations. You look at the shackles list and you eliminate the things that don't align with your heart soul, the things that you don't love, the things that don't light you up. You reevaluate them and making sure they're not an obligation, because the obligations is about survival, it's about your ultimate purpose, and it's about the things that you must do. So evaluating those to make sure that they are truly shackles in your life that you can just cut off and say goodbye. Okay, and then next we're going to reorganize your obligations. So reorganizing your obligations is sort of like cleaning up, basically, so you're going to create systems, right? The only way you're going to be able to reorganize the things that you're going to do within your day is to have systems in place, have strategies, have systems in place to manage your to-do tasks, right? Good example I like to give, quick example. I have 4 kids. They're all under 13, and well, one's about to turn 13, so 13 and under. You know how little kids are, running around, mess. You tell them to clean your room, the house is a mess. It used to bother me so much. But when you have systems in place, such as I teach them, like, if you're going by the hallway, pick up whatever you see there, or if you're going downstairs, bring down whatever it is that you brought up that needs to go back down along with you. So you don't, at the end of the month or at the end of the week or even at the end of the day, you have this huge pile that now you have to do, right? Doing little things along the way. Or what we've done in the past also is we've paused the day. And this worked a lot during like school days when they're back in school. To just pause for 5 minutes, and it's like, okay, everybody, take a chore, take a task, and get it done. Okay, so for example, it might be walls that need to be wiped down, staircases that needs to be vacuumed that I don't do every single day, right? Things that we don't do every day. It's like, take a pause and let's get some of these things done. And you'd be amazed how much actually gets done. So creating the systems, having the strategies in place to manage those things. And the other thing about systems and strategies could be your mental wellness, right? And your self-development goals, and how you deal basically with your emotions, how you deal with your mindset. So it's not just a physical to-do list, it's also how you manage your mindset. And then delegate, right? I know it can be hard to delegate. I grew up where we helped each other out in my family. We just got so used to doing that. And then getting into relationships where they grew up differently and they don't know to just get up and do certain things, or they don't see, I don't know, something that used to bother me was, my husband would always leave the cupboard open, right? He's gotten much better at it, but he'd grab a cup, for example, and leave the cupboard open. And I'm like, just close it, you're right there. It's just one, little close. So it's little things like that. And then just telling them and letting people know to do it, right? So delegate in a similar way is just basically letting people know, like sometimes they don't know, or in a family setting, for example, or even if you live with housemates or whatever it is, you need to have a balance. So delegate, and it's like, well, if you don't do it, there has to be repercussions. I'm sorry. I know we women, we're nurturing souls, and we want to just do and do and do and serve and serve. A lot of the times it's for ourselves because we want to have that. A lot of the times it's to help out everybody, right? But you have to shift away from that. It's not to say, oh, I'm just not going to help out. I'm not going to help you anymore. But we have to shift away from just doing it all ourselves. Okay. And then, very big, accept the help. Accept the help. Okay. You have to accept the help. Okay. Whatever help is out there. Okay. Accept it. It's okay. It's time to shift the mentality of, we're superwoman, we have to do everything ourselves. Whatever perception of what women are supposed to do, no, accept the help in whatever it is. Like, I'm going to bring back to my husband again. He wanted to, for example, help me with, I don't know, I can't think of it right now, but some task around the house, right? And to me, it was like, well, that's kind of a girly task. Like, don't you want to like wash the car or do something else instead, right? But I was like, no, wait. He is offering the help. I need to just let him do it, right? So it's things like that, like, little things in our day where we're kind of like, no, I'll just do it. Just accept the help. And then even with kids, right? Asking them to do something and having them do it, and you feel like, well, I'm going to do it better, or I'm going to do it much quicker. Try to refrain from doing that all of the time. Let them do the little things because they need to learn. They need to learn that too, right? And you just have to step back and go, it's okay. Like, if it doesn't get done by this exact time that I wanted to get done and it doesn't affect anything else, then it's okay. Just let them go ahead and help you, because it's also going to help them as well. And you must, make self-care and self-growth an obligation. You have to put those in. You have to add those back in order for you to grow and to get to the next level, right? Otherwise, you just get stuck, and like I said, you just be in that same level, going through day to day, your ups and downs over and over and over again. Don't wait for the big wake up call to get help or to take the responsibility to grow to the next level for yourself, right? I don't. A lot of the times it becomes more expensive. Like, I'm thinking, God forbid, if anything, medically, physically that happens to your body and you need to go to the hospital, for example, it costs a lot of money, and it takes away from your love and your family, the time that you should be spending enjoying your life and doing your soul purpose. So delay don't delay your self-growth and self-healing and all these things that you need to do to reignite that fire. Okay, don't just be okay. It's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's don't just be okay because you've got so much to do. You have to nurture everybody else. No, just being okay is not it. You got to be more, right? And it's not about, oh, now I have more to do. Now I got to be more. I don't have the energy for that. It's actually quite opposite. It's like having more natural energy really creates more happiness and more just pure energy in your life, and everything just lines up and works out correctly for you. That's basically how life works. And also, if you have kids, right, it is so important for you to be that person right now, right? They're looking up to you as a role model, and they learn so much from you just by living with you, hearing what you're doing. Like, every time, if you sigh, if you're like, not liking to do certain things, if you're stressing about bills or whatever it is, they're picking all that up, right? They're picking all that up. Even if you're not saying anything to them, they're picking all that up. So that it becomes their conditioning. And that's going to be how they're going to handle their life events as they grow. So it's very important to take care of yourself now and to take that action. And that pretty much covers our masterclass for today. If you have any questions at all, uh, you know, put down below what's your perception of what a shackle is. Like, what are your shackles? What are your obligations? Comment below. Let's share them. If you are not sure if it's a shackle or an obligation, comment below and we can have a discussion about it, so that and the main thing is, taking that action so you can shift away and getting rid of all those shackles, right? And then lastly, if you are fully ready to, really do something about your life, then I just wanted to share with you right now, we have a scholarship going on for new clients coming into my program. It's the Powerful Vivacious Goddess program. And it's basically, a beautiful, beautiful 3-month journey. It's so loving and beautiful. We do energy healing. There is self-empowerment coaching in there. We do bi-weekly coaching calls. So we are in a community. We're putting all our loving energy together and sharing from each other. There is no judgment. There's no shyness. I don't want you to be shy. Of course, some people are still shy, but they do ask questions. And the asking questions and talking about it is so important, right? So important, because we're getting that out, we're bringing it out, we're dumping these shackles, we're dumping that stuff away out from our glass, so we can let things flow back in. Let the beautiful light and love and all the things, all the abundance in your life flow in. You cannot fit in anymore until you get rid of that. And some of the ways we do that, we dump past conditionings and emotional or physical baggages that are holding you back. We do this through activities and worksheets, workbooks that you can go through to really think about those things, as well as our energy healing. We actually really do get rid of body imbalances and misalignments within your body that's holding you back, that's literally holding you back, right? Sometimes people might be like, why am I always attracting the wrong men? Or why am I not able to make the right decision in my business growth all the time? A lot of the times they have these either beliefs or beliefs that have actually caused imbalances in their body that is blocking them from moving past that point, right? And we don't always see it. When we're too close to our own selves, it's hard to recognize the shackles or the blockages that are holding us back from being our true selves. So that's what this program does, right? Is going through the exercises, going through the energy healing, which is so nurturing and so light, and having somebody else and being accountable to look at you so that you're not so close to yourself that you're not seeing the things that you need to do. And this, when you're too close and you're not seeing these things, these leads to extra stress, lack of motivation, lack of love, even poor wealth and abundance manifestation. So just affects everything and delays, and then a lot of times even diminishes your dreams, right? So I want you to join our program so that you can upgrade your mindset in every aspect of your life. And like I said before, we remap your life so that you have a roadmap, the systems and the strategies to better manage your life. So whether that's getting rid of depression, or knowing exactly what your soul purpose is and which direction you want to go, or what business you want to get into, or how to attract the right love and relationship, or how to deal with the relationship in your life. This is basically all that we cover. And one-on-one personalized healing. So if you have any specific areas that you want healed, and this could be emotional or physical or just based on your goals, we do one-on-one personalized healing weekly, so that you can truly excel and propel towards living your heart truth. And the whole goal is to live with purpose, love with more energy, have hope for your abundant future, right? You want to have beautiful hope. There's so much of this craziness going on in the world that you cannot control, right? Or you think you can not control, but a lot of it actually through energy work and through just knowing how energy works, you can actually have certain control over certain things and shift certain things and help shift certain things. So, just living on purpose and having a beautiful hope for the future, and something you can, pass along to your children by living it and by teaching them. That's what I hope for you. So if you are ready, book a free strategy session. We will talk about what you think you want right now in your life, which areas are, dense and heavy, and what your goals are, whether it's to create a business or double your income, whatever it is. We can sit down and look at the strategy. So you'll walk away with a couple of strategies and learn more about the program as well if it's something you're interested in. So definitely book your free strategy call today. It's tinyurl.com/heart activation call, right there in that green banner. And I would love to talk to you. Like, I've worked with many women all over the world. This program is for moms, women all over the world. You don't have to live with me. And that's the great thing about today's technology world, right? But in terms of the energy healing, I can do it remotely because it's energy is everywhere and everything and everywhere. So we don't have to be physically together, and it works just great. It's so light and wonderful and rewarding and beautiful. So I want you to have this journey. I want you to feel this, right? Because if you don't, then you can just continue going through the ups and downs and feeling the way that you're feeling and not achieving all that you deserve. And I don't want that. So definitely book your call. The link is below. And I want you, thank you so much. And to remind you to be great, to be love. I shared this a couple of weeks ago, I believe. So I just wanted to share it again. Take care of yourself. Yourself is so important. And you reminding yourself that you do have a choice. Whether the challenges are big or small in life, you have some kind of choice to shift it and take that action, right? Be brave. Be brave and to just stand out, stand above all your past conditionings and shift from just the status quo where you are now, shift from accepting all your suffering and pain, or lack of energy, or lack of purpose, to shifting that into greatness. So be brave and taking that action. And as soon as you hear the signs, as soon as you receive a sign from high above on opportunities that you can take, then act upon it. You're being called upon, so act upon it. And I want to thank you again for joining me today. And if you're watching the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Definitely watch as many times as you can. And if you like this comment and you think it can be helpful for somebody else, please heart forward, share this with somebody, and invite them to the group, invite them to the channel, and so that they can, also activate their heart, soul, and move towards a lighter and more beautiful life. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful to be here with you all, and I hope you have a wonderful